His Excellency, Dr. George Manawia, President of the Republic of Liberia, please accept our esteemed welcome. His Excellency Jean-Claude Cassibro, President of the ECOWAS Commission, here in absentia, please accept our esteemed recognition. The President of the International Federation of Accountants, Mr. Alan Johnson. That's Honorable Alan Johnson, who is joining us live and joining us virtually. Please accept our humble sentiments and welcome. Mrs. Halima Ahmed, who will be proxied, who is the Commissioner of Finance for the ECOWAS Commission. She will be proxied by Dr. William D. Toa, Director of Admin and Finance, ECOWAS Commission. Please accept our sincere recognition. Honorable Mrs. Comfort Olu Eitayo, MNIFCA, President of the Association of Accountancy Bodies in West Africa. We say please accept our esteemed recognition. Mr. Victor S.K.B. Tawon, the Honorable President of the Liberian Institute of Certified Public Accountants, CACPA, please accept our esteemed recognition. So at this time, I will allow my colleague to come in to continue the recognition of ABWA council members, along with other distinguished guests.
We'd like to recognize Mistress Comfort Olu Eitayo. She's the ABWA president. We'd like to recognize Mr. Drisa Kuhn, ABWA vice president. We'd like to recognize Madam Tijani Musa Issa, ABWA treasurer. Prof. William Atulik, president, ICAG. Prof. Benjamin C. Osisioma, president, ANAN. Mr. Yakuba Traore, president, ONECCA, Burkina Faso. Mr. K.A. Mustafa Sereng, president, ONECCA, Senegal. Mr. Mamadou Milan Jadem, president, ONECCA, Niger. Mr. Babukar Khan, president, GICA. Mr. Victor S.K.B. Tawon, president, LRCPA, and the host of this occasion, Mr. Solimani Amuna, president, ONECCA Malay, Mr. Serge Aman Kodo, president, OECCA Benin, Mr. Yao Felix Jedotor, president, ONECCA Togo, Mr. Afa Sisse, president, ONECCA Guinea, Mr. Philomena Duarte, president, ORDEM Guinea-Bissau, Mr. Leonan Abassa, president, ONECCA Cameroon, Mistress Blanche Goudin, president, RCASL, Mr. Alfred Akibo Betts, Vice President, ICASL. Mr. Constantino Ban, Vice President, OR DEM, Guinea-Bissau. Mr. William Gar, Vice President, ONECCA, Cameroon. Mr. Sidikou Bohami Gad, Vice President, ONECCA, Niger. Mr. Eugene Izin, Vice President, OECCA, Benin. Mr. Papins Daniels Jr., Vice President, LRCPA. Ms. Sinan Dick, Vice President, RCAG. Mr. James Niminebo, Vice President, ANAN, ANA. Mistress Favivi Numbuko Agodio, Vice President, ONECCA, Togo. Mr. Omar Fall, Vice President, ONECCA, Senegal. And our own Dr. Abel X. Asin, Executive Secretary.
We'd like to, in continuation, also recognize the esteemed presence of Mr. Kasmi Gondete. He's the president of the Pan-African Federation of Accountants. Please accept our esteemed recognition. Let us remind you that this joint congress is held under the auspices of the LICPA, Liberia, ECOWAS, there's the Economic Community of West African States Commission, and of course the Association of Accountancy Bodies in West Africa, ABWA.
And just to throw in a little, we also have ABWA past presidents. We have a whole list. Prof. Kwame Adam Frimpong. Thank you, Professor. He served in Ghana from 2018 to 2020. We should also have past LICPA presidents here present, and we are honored by your presence. Arthur W.B. Fumba, Mr. Arthur W.B. Fumba. He's right there. Thank you. You're welcome. We're expecting other past presidents, and we will announce them as we go on.
Thank you very much. So to go into our official remarks section, we would begin this all-important Congress gathering by calling up for our official welcome remarks. Chief Oyi Akinsulere, FCAA Akan, Chairman, ECOWAS, ABWA ROC. Let's put our hands together to welcome to the podium for our official welcome remarks, Honorable Akinsulere.
Your Excellency, Dr. George Manawer, President of the Republic of Liberia, the Commissioner, distinguished members of the Cabinet, the Commissioner of Finance, ECOWAS Commission, Mrs. Halima Ahmed, the President, International Federation of Accountants, IFAC, Mr. Alan Johnson, the President of Pan-African Federation of Accountants, Mr. Cosme Gondete, the President of the Association of Accountancy Bodies in West Africa, ABWA, Princess Comfort Olu Eyitayo, the ABWA Vice President, Mr. Idrissa Kone, the ABWA Treasurer, Alhaji Tijani Musa Isa, the President, Liberian Institute of Certified Public Accountants, Mr. Victor Tawane, the Executive Secretary of ABWA, Dr. Abel Ike Asen, professional colleagues, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Regional Organizing Committee, ROC, I warmly welcome you to the second ECOWAS ABWA Joint Congress taking place in Monrovia, the beautiful capital city of the Republic of Liberia. We are enthused that this Congress, a product of the collaboration between the Economic Community of West Africa States, ECOWAS, and the Association of Accountancy Bodies in West Africa, ABWA, is being sustained since the maiden edition was held in Gambia in 2019. Permit me to specially recognize His Excellency, Dr. George Mane, President of the Republic of Liberia, for identifying with us at this program with his esteemed presence. We equally acknowledge His Excellency's diverse supports in the hosting of this Congress. We are also privileged to have the President, International Federation of Accountants, IFAC, Mr. Alan Johnson, joining us online. Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for your time. I recognize the ECOWAS team, ably led by the Commissioner for Finance, Mrs. Halima Ahmed, as well as the ABWA team, led by its President, Mrs. Comfort Olu Eyitayo, MNI FCA. These two institutions have contributed in no small measure to the social, political, economic development of West Africa, as well as promoting integration, professionalism, accountability, and transparency in the sub-region. When the Regional Organizing Committee was inaugurated in August 2021, under my leadership, the ABWA President, Mrs. Comfort Olu Eyitayo, charged us to ensure massive participation by professional accountants, policymakers, regulators, captains of industry, budding entrepreneurs, players in the public and private sectors, and other stakeholders interested in the development of the sub-region. Despite the current pervasive financial challenge of the sub-region, over 150 delegates drawn from 10 countries have so far registered to attend the conference as at this morning. Registration is still ongoing. We are deeply encouraged by the impressive number of local and international delegates. The attendance confirms our combined earnings for a West African sub-region that will be characterized by purposeful leadership, meaningful growth, and sustainable development. To make participation easy for delegates, we evolved a logistic template to guide members at the shuttle between the Congress venue, the various hotels, and when they decide to explore places of interest in the city of Monrovia. The ROC also developed the main team and sub-teams designed to beam searchlight on the subject matter of good governance, sustainability, and regional prosperity, while experts were carefully selected from the various PAOs to provide diverse perspectives on the theme, good governance and sustainable development for regional prosperity. I see this opportunity to thank all our guest speakers for graciously accepting to provide us with their informed views on the theme and the various sub-themes of the Congress. We appreciate your time and the privilege to gain from your wealth of experience for the growth of our sub-region. I dare say that this Congress is a testimonial to the unrelenting resolve of ECOWAS and ABWA to consistently harvest stakeholders' diverse and rich perspectives for the development of West Africa. The 3-day program promises to be rewarding, experiential, and a time well spent. The Congress is undoubtedly one of the noble initiatives of ECOWAS and ABWA. I implore all delegates to actively participate in all the sections, as well as other social events of the Congress. I can assure you that the Congress has very technically enriching sections with immense opportunities to network and establish new business and professional relationships. The organizing committee is poised at making your participation a memorable one. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I formally welcome you once again to the second ECOWAS-ABWA Joint Congress. Please do have a productive time and memorable stay in Liberia. Thank you for the listening, and God bless.
ABWA is the Association of Accountancy Bodies in West Africa, and the LICPA is a member of ABWA, who is also the host of this occasion. We now have the honor to welcome on stage Mr. Victor SKB Tawon, President of LICPA.
His Excellency Dr. George Manawia, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Republic of Liberia, Honorable Samuel D. Tuer Jr., Minister of Finance and Development Planning, Honorable Dr. Anthony Samora Pise Wolokoli, Deputy Minister for Fiscal Affairs, Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, Honorable P. Gaswa Jackson, Auditor General, Republic of Liberia, officials of government present, Mr. Cosmo Gonduti, President, Pan-African Federation of Accountants, PAFA, Madam Alima Ahmed, Commissioner of Finance, ECOWAS Commission, Madam Comfort Olu Oyetayo, President, Association of Accountancy Bodies in West Africa, ABWA, and President, the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Nigeria. Mr. Drissa Kone, Vice President, ABWA, and President, Onika, Cote d'Ivoire. Malam Tijani Musa Issa, Treasurer, ABWA, and Vice President, the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Nigeria. Professor William A. Aitwilik, President, Institute of Chartered Accountants, Ghana. Professor Benjamin Osisroma, President, Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, ANA. Mr. Ka Mustafa Sorini, President, Oninga Senegal. Mr. Mamadou Mala Gidam, President, Oninga, Niger. Mr. Boubacar Khan, President, the Gambia Institute of Chartered Accountants. Mr. Serge Ahmed Kondo, President, Oninka, Benin. Presidents and Vice Presidents of our PAO present, the Governing Council of the Liberian Institute of Certified Public Accountants, the Executive Secretary of ABWA and CEOs of PAOs present, Madam Anthony Dekonti Kinsaki, Chair Lady Local Organizing Committee, my beloved wife, Mrs. Geraldine Zanyatown, fellow professional colleagues, members of the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen. As we commence this auspicious event, the ECOWAS-ABWA Second Joint Congress, the second of its kind within the sub-region, I am grateful and will always be grateful to the Almighty God for making this event to start and end successfully, and for bringing our illustrious President, His Excellency Dr. George Manawia, to this program. I am pleased to seize this opportunity to welcome our special guest of honor and keynote speaker, His Excellency Dr. George Manawia, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Republic of Liberia, for honoring our invitation to be here today. Your Excellency, you are wholeheartedly welcome. I am also pleased to welcome the President of the Pan-African Federation of Accountants, PAFA, Mr. Cosme Gondote, representatives of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, the President and Council members of the Association of Accountancy Bodies in West Africa, ABWA, all our professional colleagues from West Africa. You are warmly welcome to our beloved country, a country that I always refer to as the friendly coast of Africa. Representatives of the World Bank, the African Development Bank, the United States Aid for International Development, the United Nations Development Program, members of the LICPA, and other distinguished invited guests. Precisely on December 4th, 2019, prior to the start of the inaugural Congress in Banjul, the Gambia, a council meeting was held, and the question as to which member PAO was prepared and ready to host the second joint Congress was tabled. Bent on my desire and passion to support all of the programs of ABWA and ECOWAS and to showcase the potentials of the LICPA and make her take an appropriate place amongst the Committee of Professional Accountancy Organizations, I immediately, upon hearing the call for the next host, put my lobbying gear into action. At the end of the council meeting, I sought audience with the immediate past president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana and past president of the Association of Accountancy Bodies in West Africa, Professor Kwame Frampong Adom, and the vice president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, Professor Williams A. Atwili, now the current president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, to lobby their support to grant the LICPA the slot to host the second Congress. Considering the fact that the support of the RCAG alone will not be sufficient to win the slot, I also sought audience with the immediate past president of ABWA and the Institute of Chartered Accountants Nigeria, Mrs. Dami Onime Joy Adewe, to support the bid of the LICPA to host the Congress. I also solicited the support of all member PAOs of ABWA, both Anglophone and Francophone, giving justifications that the LICPA has all it takes to host this event with flying colors. It can be recalled, on January 8, 2021, the ABWA Council visited Liberia, held a council meeting, and undertook an assessment tour of our facilities to assess our preparedness to host the Congress. At the end of the assessment tour, the decision was taken to finally approve the Institute's bill to host the second joint Congress, now taking place. We immediately got to work and constituted our local organizing committee, headed by Anthony Dekonte Kensaki, whose work is the product of what is happening here today. To the current and past presidents of the Council of ABWA, on behalf of the LICPA and our country, I say a very big thanks for the confidence reposed in us and support you have given to host the second joint Congress. And I can assure you that the results of the second joint Congress will leave you with lasting positive impressions that exceeds your expectation. The ECOWAS-ABWA partnership seeks to strengthen regional integration, economic growth, good governance, ease cross-border trade, and many more within the sub-region. It also seeks to address money laundering, terroristic financing, illicit financial flow, and cross-border trade, digital transformation in the future of work, corporate governance, and biodiversity. The significance and benefits of hosting the Congress in Liberia and to the LICPA spans in two main areas. Hosting the Congress in Liberia will first and foremost showcase the technical competence, potentials, and capability of our institute as a member PAO that is ready at any time to support the institute, the initiatives of ECOWAS and ABWA, and all other development partners. Secondly, it will boost trade and overall revenue impact in various sectors of our economy. The aviation industry, the hospitality industry, professional networking, exposure of Liberian-made products, and exposure of Liberian businesses that advertise their products in the Congress brochure. It will also afford first-time visitors the opportunity to feel the beauty of the oldest independent nation in Africa. Knowledge acquisition. The Congress is usually designed with a team that seeks to expose participants to evolving issues within our profession. The theme of this Congress, good governance and sustainable development for regional prosperity, cuts across various topics to include terrorism financing, money laundering, and illicit financial flow, bending of public financial management reforms, cross-border trade and the imperatives of deepening capital markets across West Africa, the role of the accountancy profession, the accountancy profession, digital transformation, and the future of work, corporate governance and biodiversity, enhancing value creation for stakeholders. The resourcefulness of these topics to be discussed at this Congress has led our members to request Council to allocate and approve 20 CPD credit hours for all LICPA members that attend the Congress fully, that is from beginning to end. I am pleased to inform members of the LICPA that Council has accordingly approved your request. At this juncture, on behalf of the Governing Council General Membership, and in my own name as President of the Liberian Institute of Certified Public Accountants, I extend to you, Your Excellency, Dr. George Manawia, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Republic of Liberia, the Institute's gratitude for your government's continued support to the Institute. It can be recalled, Your Excellency, during the harmonization of the national budget and austerity measures taken by your government to streamline the national economy due to the negative impact of the coronavirus pandemic, your government, through the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, under the able leadership of Honorable Samuel D. Tuwe Jr., maintained the subsidy of the LICPA in the national budget, even when others were cut significantly and dropped completely. It is also worth it to mention that the government, under your leadership, through the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, approved my request for $250,000 United States dollars to assist the Institute host the Congress successfully. Out of that requested amount, a total of $200,000 United States dollars was approved to be disbursed as follows: $50,000 to host the ECOWAS Congress to underwrite the cost of other important expenditures that were not approved in the ABWA budget. $150,000 has direct support to the Institute's internal and functional operations, in addition to the subsidy already approved in the national budget. This wouldn't have been possible without the supportive tendency of the CDC-led government under your able leadership of His Excellency Dr. George Manawia, President of the Republic of Liberia, and the able leadership of Honorable Samuel D. Tuwe, Jr., Honorable Minister of Finance and Development Planning, and aided by his able and immediate deputy, Honorable Anthony Dr. Samura P.Z. Wolokoli, PhD, CFE, CA, CPA, CFFRP, FPA Australia, FFA UK, CTP LLB, Deputy Minister of Planning and Economic Affairs, a member of the Institute. Your Excellency, on behalf of the Liberian Institute of Certified Public Accountants, I say a very big thank you, and that the LICPA, as always, and will always stand to support your leadership and government. Your Excellency, Dr. George Manawia, our dynamic and illustrious President, Mrs. Comfort Olu Iyitayo, President of ABWA, it will interest you to note that the Institute, after 89 years of existence, acquired its own modern and official secretariat befitting the name, age, and status of our noble institute. The first of its kind in 89 years history of the Institute, the building was officially dedicated on Monday, March 14, 2022 by Mr. Cosbin Gonote, President, Pan-African Federation of Accountants. I am also pleased to extend the Institute's gratitude to the Auditor General of the Republic of Liberia, Honorable P. Gaswa Jackson Sr., ACCA, CFRP, CFE, CPA, for approving my request and thus contributing $10,000 United States dollars to host the Congress successfully. To all member PAOs of ABWA who mobilized and encouraged the participation of their members in the Congress. I say a very big thank you. This program wouldn't have been a success without God first and foremost, and secondly, the tireless efforts of the local organizing committee headed by Anthony Dekote Kensaki, Deputy Commissioner General for Technical Services, Liberia Revenue Authority. It was no mistake that I appointed Madam Kensaki to head and lead this committee. They have performed their assigned tasks with the highest level of commitment, professionalism, and integrity. I say a very big thanks to Madam Kensaki and her team. Out of a total of 60 financial members of the Institute, a total of 52 members paid their Congress fees and registered for the Congress. I say a very big well done to LICPA members who contributed in one way or another. Given the contributions of the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning and the Liberia Revenue Authority, 10 and 6 of their stars are here as accompanying guests, respectively. To the LICPA Council, I say a very big thanks and appreciation for your unflinching support to make this Congress a success. To all our corporate sponsors, development partners, contractors, consultants, we greatly appreciate your partnership and for identifying with us. We look forward to working with you in the near future. I pray and wish all our African brothers and sisters who have converged in our country for this Congress, God's journey mercy as they return to their respective homes after the Congress. May God bless the LICPA, our beloved country Liberia, and the rest of the world. Thank you for your indulgence.
At this stage, we like to, with the permission of the president of ABWA, we like to ask to skip a little and go to Mr. Alan Johnson, who is currently on Zoom.
Thank you very much, and a very good morning to you, Your Excellency, Mr. President, Dr. George Weah, the ABWA President, Mrs. Comfort Ayutayo, the LICPA President, Mr. Victor Tanwan, the Chair of the Regional Organizing Committee, Chief Oye Akinsulire, the Presidents, past and present, of the ABWA member bodies, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. I really thank you very much for bringing me forward because I have to get to the airport to catch a flight. I'm the president of the International Federation of Accountants, and it's really a privilege and honor to be with you this morning. As the global voice of the accountancy profession, IFAC has 180 members representing more than 3 million professional accountants across the world. Our role is to speak out as the global voice of the profession, to lead and develop a future-ready profession, and to support the development, the adoption, and implementation of high-quality international standards. I would just like to say a few words from IFAC's global perspective about the Joint Congress theme of good governance and sustainable development for regional prosperity. There is no doubt that the future regional prosperity also depends on the ability of the accountancy profession, in partnership with all of our stakeholders, to ensure good and effective governance and indeed of sustainable development. I commend and congratulate President Tanwan of the LICPA and the people of Liberia for hosting this joint congress for the first time. The LICPA has been an IFAC member since 1987 and has served Liberia since 1933. As your president has just said, 89 years. In these years, you have been and remain a pillar of prosperity in Liberia. By bringing the Joint Congress to Monrovia, the accountancy profession in West Africa has rightly recognized your hard work and great accomplishments in service of the public interest. IFAC is also proud to be working with ABWA in partnership with the World Bank and the Pan-African Federation of Accountants to establish an accounting technician qualification, which will ensure a good supply of accounting professionals to meet the growing demands of professional accountants in the region. I also wish to recognize ABWA and ECOWAS for their continuing leadership as demonstrated by this joint Congress, because for an effort on this scale, the sustainable prosperity of a region of 350 million people, coordination and collaboration among each of these organizations and with the local professional accountancy organizations is absolutely essential. The efforts of individual accountants, of course, are no less important. The volunteer service of West African professional accountants on IFAC's board and committees, as well as the independent standard setting boards that we support, is extremely valuable. And I would like to recognize Mrs. Onono ABWA, who is on our international panel for accountancy education, Mr. Alhaji Jayola, who is on our professional accountancy and development advisory committee, Mr. Christopher Nyong, who is on our international public sector accounting standards board, Ms. Angela Pisa from Ghana, who is a colleague of mine on IFAC's nominating committee, and Mr. Ismaila Zakari, a fellow board member on the International Federation of Accountants, a colleague of mine as well. And I would like to thank all of them for their public duty and public service. So let me now quickly turn to the themes of your joint Congress. Good governance and sustainable development are inextricably linked, as we can plainly see in two urgent global crises today, the COVID-19 and of course climate change. And COVID has hit West Africa very hard, not just in the terrible loss of life, but also in a steep decline in public revenues and a sharp rise in poverty. Last month, the International Monetary Fund reported that although government revenues in the region are poised to rebound to pre-COVID levels, this will not be enough as public spending needs have risen extremely highly. Indeed, to control the COVID pandemic, many governments have been spending whatever it takes. Many trillions of dollars have been spent worldwide, far more than government spent to mitigate the 2008 financial crisis. And public authorities are having to walk a fine line to avoid withdrawing support prematurely, whilst of course identifying where spending can safely be reduced or made more efficient. And ordinary people are looking for their governments to respond to their current and future needs. They are asking, how has my government's response to COVID constrained its finances for routine public services? And what about the next crisis? And to give a satisfactory answer will be possible only with planning that accounts for the full scope of those needs and responds to them with sustainable, equitable, and inclusive policies and programs. And all of this leads to public financial management, or what we call in IFAC PFM. Because good governance requires that governments make plans and set future priorities and expenditures based not only on last year's problems, but actually on where the public spending will be needed for the recovery today and in years to come. And the accountancy profession is ready to help. And we must ensure that our stakeholders in government know to call on us. Because as technical experts with a strong ethical foundation, we can help public authorities to direct funds more efficiently. And as audit professionals, we will bring greater transparency and integrity to public finances. Because as servants of the public interest, we will always advocate for policies that create a better world. And I wish to emphasize the importance of trust. Good governance will build and maintain trust, and anything less will erode it. And trust is essential, particularly important in times of crisis. We have learned a lot already from the pandemic about the effects and future scope of fiscal stimulus, cash transfers, and many indirect measures to support economies in future crises. Unfortunately, more crises are to come, including the pandemics of other infectious diseases, of pollution, and of climate change. And climate change brings me to a second theme, sustainable development. Because the meaning of sustainability is open to lots of interpretation. It certainly includes climate action. It is often taken to mean things like green finance, strong corporate governance, and other foundations of equitable and lasting economic growth. Some people clearly think of the need for public health measures against infectious diseases, which of course is the challenge we face today, and that's quite understandable. But many others think first of climate change, and all of these concerns and more are at play in discussing a sustainable future, and each, of course, has a dynamic effect on the others. The United Nations 2030 Agenda for the Sustainable Development Goals is, for me, the clearest and the most comprehensive framework for these issues. And on this point, it is quite eloquent. It says that the SDGs are integrated and indivisible and balance the three dimensions of sustainable development, which are the economic, the social, and the environmental. I believe we will find that climate action is the common denominator to success across all of these three areas. In his address to world leaders at COP26 in November last year, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres put the crisis in context. The 2020s, he said, is the critical decade. And he is right, because global warming beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius will mean irreversible environmental catastrophes. And greenhouse gas emissions through 2030 are projected to exceed that threshold. The critical decade has begun. In fact, we only have about 3/4 of the decade left. At COP26, your president, Dr. Weir, reminded the international community about their commitments and the need to accelerate actions towards achieving the goals of the Paris Agreement and the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, or UNFCCC. The Glasgow Agreement includes significant pledges for mitigation, including emissions reduction and forest protection. It also has a greater emphasis than past agreements on adaptation, which is crucial to the ability of the global south to endure climate change. So if adaptation and mitigation are to succeed, then the accountancy profession needs to lead the world from commitments to implementation. Specific plans need to be made to cover every step of the process, from the first tree to be saved to the last tree to be planted. And these plans need to have clear measures and targets that should be reported on regularly and transparently with independent verification. And the skills and expertise of professional accountants in assurance services are needed for these tasks, and are our professional ethics and our independence. So 7 years have passed since the Paris COP, with unfortunately so far not nearly enough to show for it. Now we just have over 7 years to go, and our emissions targets leave no room for error. Because the bottom line is that the future of prosperity in West Africa and around the world depends on how effectively governments advance from crisis response to recovery. This must be done with sustainable fiscal programs and other measures that bring a green, equitable, and inclusive future. And our profession must innovate, must advise and lead wherever and whenever we can. There's an incredibly important need for the profession to step into a larger role in public financial management and sustainable development to fulfill our public interest mandate. But there's also an incredible opportunity for us to help make those tough choices that face every country. So let us use this opportunity to do what is right for the long-term benefit of all. The profession can create a more resilient world with stronger economies and fairer societies by doing so. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all professional accountancy bodies in the ECOWAS region and all professional accountants for the great work that you do to support good governance and sustainable development. I would also like to thank the LICPA for everything you've done to support your country in its own development over nearly 90 years. It has been an honor to join you today, and I'm grateful to the Joint Congress leadership for accommodating my virtual participation. My best wishes to you all. Keep safe and well, and I hope you have a very successful Congress. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Alan Johnson. Again, that was the voice of the president of the International Federation of Accountants. And we are glad that you could find a time to join us virtually at this all-important Congress. At this time, we like to call up someone very important to not just ABWA, but the entire ECOWAS region and the world of accountancy. ABWA, as you know, is a conglomerate of accountant associations, having presidents that are part of the 15 member countries of ECOWAS. And since 1983, we've had 24 past presidents. So today we have a 25th installed and working. And so at this juncture, we like to call up for the message, or a very important message, the president of ABWA to give us our message. Congressmen of ABWA, members of ABWA, it's a pleasure to invite to the stage Honorable Mrs. Comfort Olu Eitayo for the message.
Thank you very much for that welcome, Director of Protocol. Your Excellency, Dr. George Maniwe, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Liberia, the distinguished members of Cabinet, Ministers, President of the ECOWAS Commission, Mr. Jean-Claude Cassie Bro, the Commissioner for Finance, ECOWAS Commission, Mrs. Halima Ahmed, the President, International Federation of Accountants, IFAC, Mr. Alan Johnson, who just gave us a very impactful goodwill message. The President, Pan-African Federation of Accountants, PAFA, Mr. Cosme Gudete. The ABWA Vice President, Mr. Dirisa Kohn. ABWA Treasurer, Alhaji Tijani Musa Isa. The President, Liberian Institute of Certified Public Accountants, Mr. Victor Tawon. Other ABWA Council members, in particular the presidents of the 16 professional accountancy organizations that are member bodies of ABWA. You are highly recognized. The President, FAGWA, Dr. Ahmed Idris, ably represented here today by Mr. Zubair Salau, the Chairman of the Regional Organizing Committee of ECOWAS, ABWA Second Congress, Chief Oye Akesidure, the Executive Secretary of ABWA, Dr. Abel Asain, distinguished professional colleagues, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great delight to warmly welcome you all to this gathering of professional accountants motivated by the need to discuss the economic and developmental challenges confronting our sub-region despite its huge natural and human resources endowments. It is particularly heartening that as expert resource managers and professionals, it is our inherent franchise to speak for and defend the public interest. I therefore salute you all for electing to be part of this international congress organized by ECOWAS ABWA as part of their strategy to advance the cause of the profession. We are particularly appreciative of the presence of Liberia President Dr. George Weah, who, through his exploits in the world of sports, raised the bar and banner of the continent globally. Thank you most sincerely for this great honor, which demonstrates not only your commitment to professionalism and excellence, but your love for the accountancy profession. Permit me, Your Excellency, to put on record the profound appreciation of the Governing Council of the Association of Accountancy Bodies in West Africa and the leadership of the 16-member body, the PAOs, which makes up this body, for the huge financial grants you approved not only to support this Congress, but to enhance the technical and human capacity development of the Liberia Institute of Certified Public Accountants. I dare say, Your Excellency, that you have sown a seed, a great seed for that matter, that will positively impact the development not only of the accountancy profession in this country, but also reposition your economy and country for greater prosperity. Your Excellency, we are certain that posterity will write your name in gold. Thank you very much. I also seize this opportunity to appreciate Mr. Alan Johnson, the President of International Federation of Accountants, who has just delivered his goodwill message. We are excited and enthused by the strategic role that IFAC is playing in the development of the global accountancy profession under your able leadership, direction, and guidance. Thank you for accepting to present a goodwill message at this Congress. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the theme of this Congress is good governance and sustainable development for regional prosperity. It was carefully chosen to draw attention to the place of good governance in accelerating the pace of the economic and sustainable development in the sub-region. As we all are aware, the countries of this sub-region are confronted with a lot of challenges, which range from literacy, poor access to health and educational facilities, poor infrastructural facilities, depth of capital, and pervasive insecurity. These challenges are now further compounded by the COVID-19 pandemic and the devastating effects of the exploration of natural resources by multinational companies at the expense of the ecosystem and our society. These activities have profoundly worsened the impact of climate change on our economies. Effectively, corporate entities are prospering at the expense of human life, livelihoods, and physical existence. Putting it mildly, the planet is threatened by the unbridled quest for profit. Our task as professional accountants, according to Lord Mervyn King, is to save the planet by promoting the ideals of sustainability so well enunciated in the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDG. A critical appraiser of the level of achievement of these goals would reveal that we have not made appreciable progress as a sub-region. Here lies the prosperity and propriety of the theme of the Congress. As professional accountants, we must draw attention to the imperative of sustainability while also bracing up to the challenge of changing the narrative of our sub-region. This we can do through sustained advocacy by supporting our governments with ideas, strategic ideas that will reposition the sub-region as major player in global development discourse. Thus, this second ECOWAS ABWA Joint Congress will avail another opportunity to interrogate social economic dynamics in the West African sub-region. We can no longer deter in unlocking the vast potentials of the sub-region for posterity and inclusive growth. The time is ripe to conduct a dispassionate appraisal of the relationship between good governance, growth, and development of the sub-region, a bid to collectively build the future that we truly deserve and desire, without neglecting the needs of the moment. There is an urgency tag in developing strategies for arresting the worrisome developments in the sub-region. This Congress is no doubt a timely intervention and platform for developing such strategies. Let me add that we owe the present and future generations the economic and moral obligations to develop our sub-region for the benefit of all. In other words, today's needs and aspirations must be met without compromising future generations' capacity to meet theirs. I am confident that this joint conference by the Economic Commission of West African States, ECOWAS, and the Association of Accountancy Bodies of West Africa, ABWA, would provide practicable recommendations for achieving the much desired growth, development, and prosperity in West Africa. In pursuance of our advocacy and public interest mandate as professional chartered accountants, we must ensure the soundness of financial and non-financial reporting, the comparability of financial and non-financial information across borders, as well as promote fiscal prudence in public expenditures and compliance to best practices in governance. These roles of professional accountants are fundamental to achieving the ECOWAS vision of building a community of people fully integrated in a peaceful, prosperous region with strong institutions that respect fundamental freedoms and work for inclusive and sustainable development. This collaboration between ECOWAS and ABWA since 2018 is therefore highly instructive and timely. A collaboration of this nature among two regional bodies that bring their varied skills and human resources hold great prospects for impacting the sub-region. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the first Congress of ECOWAS and ABWA held in Banjul, the Gambia, in 2019, which I had the opportunity of organizing as the chairman of the Regional Organizing Committee, made extensive recommendations. Sadly, since then, there have been rapid developments that challenge the foundation and preparedness of many economies against unforeseen shocks and economic upheavals. The aforementioned coronavirus, commonly known as COVID-19, has proven to be most devastating development in the last few decades. It has brought significant changes to social and economic development, including governance across economies. This is coupled with digital disruption that is turning formerly entrenched models on their heads. The development of appropriate responses to these developments is a mission critical. It is time for Africa to deepen its response to the new normal. I therefore urge all delegates and guests to provide us with your rich perspectives as we collectively examine the issue of governance, sustainable development, and prosperity for the West African sub-region. On this note, I wish you all a rewarding Congress and an exciting stay in Liberia for all the international delegates. Thank you all for your kind attention. God bless.
Thank you, Madam President of ABWA. You know, in time past, we have taught that accountants are people of fewer words. You know, they did accounting because they wanted to, you know, avoid a lot of speeches and plenty talking, right? So you rather do numbers. But now we know that accountants are competing with the politicians too in, you know, big speeches. Thank you. We move next to a goodwill message from FAAGWA President Proxy Zubaru Salawu. Is he ready to make a remark on behalf of Dr. Ahmed Adris? Thank you.
His Excellency, Dr. George Manewe, President of the Republic of Liberia, President of ECOWAS Commission, Jean-Claude Cassib-Brow, the Honorable Commissioner of Finance, ECOWAS Commission, Mrs. Halima Ahmed, President of ABWA, Mrs. Comfort Olu Eitayo, MNIFCA, President of IFAC, the President of PAFA, the President of Liberian Institute of Certified Public Accountants, Mr. Victor K.B. Tonwe, the regional and local organizing committee members. I have the honor to represent the Accountant General of the Federation, Mr. Ahmed Idris, FCNF ITM, the Accountant General of the Federation of Nigeria, and President, Forum of Accountants General and Auditor General in West Africa, FAGWA, at this very Congress. And I read his message. I feel greatly honored for the opportunity to present a goodwill message at this second ECOWAS ABWA Joint Congress holding in the city of Monrovia. I must salute the courage of the President of ABWA and Council members who, in conjunction with the ECOWAS Commission, are hosting this Congress, and they have chosen the theme, Good Governance and the Sustainable Development for the Region. This is very apt in view of our situation in the sub-region and the need for determined efforts to change it for good. I must commend the ECOWAS Commission for the partnership with ECOWAS towards seeking solutions to the region's challenges. I have no doubt in my mind that the program will positively contribute to the transformation of the economic policy direction of West African countries. As a sub-region, West Africa is blessed with enormous natural and human resources, which with focused leadership and followership, its development can be accelerated. However, most of the countries in the region is faced with issues of poor governance, weak infrastructure, insecurity, poor industrial base, and weak institutions, which are sine qua non for sustainable development. The founding fathers of ECOWAS saw regional integration as a strategy for accelerating economic development of the region, for the socio-economic well-being of our people, among others. As citizens, we must all work together to achieve these goals. This program, no doubt, is one of those deliberate efforts intended to bring together high-profile technocrats and industry players to brainstorm on the theme of the Congress towards economic transformation and development of the region. I wish to use this medium, therefore, to charge this Congress to come up with meaningful and implementable communique that will serve as a policy guide for the region towards meeting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The developed nations that have achieved economic development made deliberate efforts for years to get to where they are today. Our leaders must provide good governance where the rule of law, equity, transparency, and accountability are institutionalized. The accountancy professional bodies can contribute greatly in this direction by contributing to government policies, supporting effective and efficient implementation of policies, and institutionalizing sound ethical practices among your members who are in charge of managing finances. Finally, I want to urge the delegates to examine the issues bedeviling the sub-region dispassionately and provide solutions with a clear implementation strategies in the best interest of our economies. I am confident that given the array of resource persons and professionals that are gathered here today, the recommendations that will emerge from your deliberations will serve as useful tools for addressing the challenges of the sub-region. On this note, I wish you all a very fruitful deliberation and successful Congress, and I thank you for listening. Thank you.
Mrs. Comfort Olu Ayutayo, President of Association of Accountancies Body in West Africa. Mr. Alan Johnson, President, International Federation of Accountants. Mr. Cosme Gonde, President, Pan-African Federation. Mr. Victor SKB Tower, President, Liberian Institute of Certified Public Accountants. Other platform guests, members of ABWA, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may we all stand and welcome to the podium His Excellency Dr. George Manawia, President of the Republic of Liberia, for the keynote address.
members of the 54th legislature here present, His Excellency Jean-Claude Cassibre, President of the ECOWAS Commission, Chief Oye Akin Solari, Chairperson ECOWAS ABWA Regional Organizing Committee, Mrs. Comfort Olu Eyetao, Presidents of the Associations of Accountancy Bodies in West Africa, the Council officers and members of the Associations of Accountancy Bodies in West Africa, Mr. Victor Tawan, President and member of the Liberian Institute of Certified Public Accountants, other officials of government here present, the Doyen and members of the Diplomatic Consular Corps, presenters and panel discussants, distinguished delegates and special guests, members of the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen. Pour commencer, je vous souhaite, nos amis français, bienvenue et bonjour. Obrigado and good morning. I'm delighted that Liberia has been chosen as the venue for this important and historic regional event, the second Joint Congress of the Economic Community of West African States Commission, the ECOWAS, and the Association of Accountancy Body in West Africa, ABWA. In this regard, I would like to commend the ECOWAS Commission and ABWA for this joint initiative. On behalf of the government and people of Liberia, and in my own name, I extend to you a warm welcome to Monrovia, our beautiful capital city. I wish you a pleasant and enjoyable stay here, and I encourage you to take advantage of the generous hospitality for which Liberians are deservedly famous for. I'm also honored to have been invited to be your special guest of honor at this event, and to have been chosen by you to give the keynote address on this occasion. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am informed that this joint Congress is dedicated to showcasing the potential and strength of the accountancy profession in Liberia, the West African sub-region, and beyond, and that this is intended to enhance the economic growth of both the private and the public sectors of our regional bloc through the development of professional networks of competence and high standards. I believe that conferences and congresses such as this one provide a basis for knowledge sharing amongst professional networks and can serve to advance the prospects of standardizations and uplift the quality of the practice of accountancy within our sub-region. Let me commend the leadership of our own professional accountancy body, the Liberian Institute of Certified Public Accountants, the LIPA, for their diligence and steadfastness in working with other regional professionals to host the historic Joint Congress in Liberia for the first time. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the importance of good governance to achieve sustainable development has never been more important to our present and future prosperity than now. This makes the theme for this Congress particularly relevant as we search for lasting solutions to the many problems of underdevelopment that are common to the member states of ECOWAS. Additionally, the theme, Good Governance and Sustainable Development for Regional Prosperity, corresponds with the Code of the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals and the African Union's 2063 Aspiration for Africa. Various institutions of the United Nations continue to assert that in order to achieve and maintain sustainable development, we must satisfy our present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to eventually satisfy theirs. It is therefore important that our member states should ensure that sustainable development in our sub-region and the continent itself must be based on the choices that we make and the processes by which these choices are made. They will not only ensure that there is broad consensus and acceptance of the governance processes that are used in our decision-making, but will also enable us to achieve stable and long-term economic growth. Proportionate, balanced economic, social development, and beneficial employment policies. We will also be able to see a reductions of regional differences, growth of personal income and consumption, preservations of the environment for future generations, and efficient usage and allocation of natural resources as enshrined in the Sustainable Development Goal, the SDGs. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is also important for us to recognize the importance of the accountancy profession in our countries. Accountancy professionals, whether in private or public sector, provide accounting expertise to guide financial planning and to maintain fiscal discipline. These professionals lead or assist their institutions with the development and implementation of their corporate strategy and advisory services, institute measures to reduce costs by being efficient in their services, and mitigate and hedge against various threats or risks while maintaining high ethical standards. This form the code of public trust, confidence, and value, and provides the basis of accountability and probability in our governance systems. By so doing, ladies and gentlemen of the accountancy professions here present, you have earned our respect and gratitude. And now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am greatly honored to officially state that the second ECOWAS ABWA Joint Congress of 2022, which is being held here at the Farmington Hotel, Herbert, Margibi County, Liberia, is now open for business. I wish you a productive discourse and fruitful deliberation. I thank you. Merci. Obrigado.
We say thanks to His Excellency, Dr. George Manawia, for those profound remarks making up our keynote address. So as we come to the close of these official ceremonies, we would call up for our vote of thanks, President OEC, CI, and ABWA Vice President. That's Mr. Drissa Cohn.
Merci beaucoup. Bonjour à l'Assemblée. Je voudrais que tout le monde se lève. Je souhaite que tout le monde se lève. Je souhaite que... Non, le chef de l'État, il s'assoit. Merci. Nous allons ovationner, standing ovation pour le chef de l'État du Libéria. Merci. Merci à son Excellence le docteur George Manneh, président de la République du Libéria. George Weah est un footballeur de renom, pas uniquement pour le Libéria, mais pour toute l'Afrique. C'est une légende africaine et c'est le seul ballon d'or européen que l'Afrique connaît. Il faut l'ovationner. Merci beaucoup, cher Président, pour votre soutien institutionnel, pour votre soutien financier et surtout pour l'honneur que vous nous faites d'être présents parmi nous avec les membres de votre cabinet. Merci beaucoup. Merci également à la CEDEAO. Merci à Mme Halima Ahmed, commissaire aux finances de la CEDEAO, pour l'engagement institutionnel de la CEDEAO et son implication personnelle à l'organisation de ce congrès. Merci au président Alan Johnson, président de l'IFAC, pour son appui personnel, son engagement et surtout pour le discours introductif qu'il a fait à notre endroit. Merci au docteur Ahmed Idriss pour son soutien et sa participation. Merci au président Kossum Gundete de la PAFA pour sa présence effective et son engagement pour le développement de la profession comptable en Afrique. Merci à Madame Comfort Olu et Itayo Ni, présidente de l'ABWA. Malgré les moments tragiques, familiaux qu'elle connaît, elle est présente et engagée. Merci pour son implication personnelle pour le développement de l'ABWA. Merci à Victor Tanoué, président de l'Institut des comptables certifiés du Libéria. Bravo, cher président, et félicitations. C'était un challenge et vous l'avez relevé. Merci au chef Oye Akensulere, président du comité d'organisation, et à l'ensemble des membres du comité d'organisation pour l'organisation avec succès de ce deuxième congrès de l'ABWA qui se tient à Monrovia, au Libéria. Merci à l'ensemble des membres du conseil d'administration de l'ABWA. Chers présidents, chers collègues, chers confrères, merci pour votre présence et votre engagement pour le développement de la profession comptable. Merci à M. Malam Tidjani Moussa, trésorier de l'ABWA, car depuis quelques temps, il essaie donc d'assainir la situation financière de notre organisation. Félicitations. Merci à M. Abel Eig Sen, secrétaire exécutif, pour son engagement personnel, sa participation et l'ensemble du soutien de son staff. Merci. Merci à tous les présidents, passe-présidents. Merci à tous les congressistes ici présents. Félicitations pour cette mobilisation au profit du développement de nos économies. Merci enfin à la presse, aux interprètes et autres supports pour le succès de ce deuxième congrès de l'ABWA, afin que nous puissions nous imprégner et nous enrichir des expériences des uns et des autres. Je vous remercie.
Merci, Monsieur Drissa Kohn. C'est bon. His Excellency Dr. George Manawia and entourage will, right after here, meet outdoor for photographs, and that will be organized by the protocol. And then after which, there will be tea and coffee break served in two of the networking rooms that I already organized just outside of this conference hall. We will also have an outdoor exhibition that will be going on simultaneously. So as we leave the hall, the rest of us will stay right indoors, and you will take your tea break as directed by the protocol just outside of this room. So on behalf of the ABWA Organizing Council and the congressmen and all of us who have helped to make this program an overwhelming success, we want to say thank you. Plenary section is coming up right after the tea and coffee break. Thank you.
So we say first you will do your group photos, and we have the protocol that will, assist you. But we have the president, the platform guests, and ABWA council members will do the first group photo, and we have ABWA council members, and then we have other delegates, by country. We'll do group photos also with the president. Thank you so much.